All right, hello guys. Welcome back to the Spot Hockey Show. Today we're just going to be going over the Canucks and their playoff hunt, how they stack up in the West, what other teams are looking like that they're trying to catch, how many teams they need to catch, and how many teams they hope stay cold during this stretch, what each player's points are looking like, odds of them making the playoffs compared to their opponents, NHL strength of schedule, along with their line combinations. Just take a look at how everybody's doing, along with what each line, and just sort of figure out those two things. So let's get into it here. So as of recording this, January 16th, they're outside of the playoffs looking in. They are playing tonight. They're playing the LA Kings. There's a chance for them to pass Calgary, barring Calgary losing tonight, which I don't know the score of that game, but let's hope as a Canucks fan that Calgary loses and the Canucks win. So it's so close between these two teams. So the Calgary Flames, 43 games played, 21 wins, 14 losses, 7 OT losses. I'll get to the OT losses later for the Canucks. 49 points with a 570 points percentage and a negative 11 goal differential, which I'll also get into. Home stats, 14 wins, 6 losses, 3 OT losses, and away, far worse, obviously. 7 wins, 9 losses, 4 OT losses. In their last 10, they are 4-6-0 on a 1-game losing streak. The Vancouver Canucks, same amount of games played, 43 games, 19 wins, 14 losses, and 10 OT losses. So if by magic at the end of the year, and the season keeps trending like this, and they happen to be tied in points, if the Canucks can't figure out not getting to OT or actually winning in OT, we could see a tiebreaker being in regulation wins, and then the Calgary Flames making the playoffs. So yeah, 19 wins, 14 losses, 10 overtime losses, 48 points, a 558 points percentage, and a negative 11 goal differential. So identical to the Calgary Flames. Reversed though from the Calgary Flames, their issue has been at home. So the Canucks are 7-8-6 at home, 12-6-4 away, and they're on a 1-loss winning streak. And in the last 10, they are 3-4-3. So the Flames trending in a slightly better direction. I wouldn't say it's crazy better, but they're not losing in OT. They're losing in regulation, or they're winning in regulation, which is definitely better than the Canucks losing 3 in regulation, only winning 3, or losing 4 in regulation, only winning 3 in regulation, and losing 3 in OT. So yeah, negative 11, not fantastic from both teams in the goal differential category. We did see last year the Washington Capitals squeak out that last wildcard spot against the Detroit Red Wings. It was pretty close by the end of the year, and the Capitals made it absolutely slammed by the Rangers in the first round, but that's something else. Yeah, I know that I may look to be biased because of the background and all this stuff. I do want to add, I've got Canucks stuff on the other side where you can't see it. I am a fan of the Canucks. I do like the Canucks team. Which team I want to make it to the playoffs over one another. I would like to see the Canucks make the playoffs over the Flames. Just as of right now, as of this season, I don't think the Flames have what it takes to make a legitimate playoff run, whereas the Canucks, I could see them making a legitimate run. I also wouldn't mind seeing the Flames get a legit lottery pick, because I don't think they can replicate this next year. The Canucks are in win now mode. They have enough pieces to be good. I believe that the talent on the Canucks is far superior than the Calgary Flames. The talent just hasn't done it this year up to this point. Could it turn around? Could they go on a streak of 10 wins in a row, the Canucks? Absolutely, I could see that happening. Could they figure out the locker room situation between Miller and Pettersson, which I made a video about 2 days ago regarding that situation? As long as they get that sorted and both of them start playing well, absolutely, I can see them go on a streak. Do I want to see the Canucks make any crazy trades right now, trading prospects or picks or anything like that to try to get their way into a wildcard spot and probably lose in the first round? if none of those external issues are sorted? Absolutely not. No. I think Lekaramaki should stay. I think Aturatu should stay. I think the pick should stay. Anything below the third round, fine. Trade him. Anything above that, I think you need to restock that prospect pool. There's definitely some good prospects coming up. But regardless, I just don't want to see this team move anything, especially being on the inside look or outside looking in. 1 point, of course, and we could see tonight them switch places, barring the Flames lose, barring the Canucks win. Regardless, still don't want to see them trade away anything. So let's get into their points here. So Quinn Hughes, coming back with a wrist cast and all this craziness, he still looked great. I mean, he's looked amazing. I don't even know if it's that much of an argument anymore. Just if you look at the advanced stats, it shows that Makar is noticeably worse against without Nathan McKinnon, which is probably the same as Hughes, noticeably worse without top forwards. But it's not as noticeable. I think Quinn Hughes, every single time he steps on the ice, does something. He's always doing something. He's not given enough credit for how good he has been defensively. He's so fast. He's good at stripping pucks. He's not going to be the biggest. He's not going to hit people. He's not doing that. But his ability to get back quick, stuff chances, strip pucks has been amazing over these past 2 years. Offensively, he's an absolute dynamo. So yeah, 39 games played, 9 goals, 38 assists, 47 points, a plus 14 plus minus differential, which means as much as you want it to mean. Anyways, and then second on the list, I also wanted to mention, if you talk to 99% of Canucks fans and you said, hey, who are the top 3 scorers going to be coming into game 43? I don't think any of them would say Garland and DeBrusk would be within that top 3. I think you'd probably have Hughes, Pettersson, Miller. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. But anyways, second in the team, 43 games played for Connor Garland, 11 goals, 19 assists, 30 points. He is probably the hardest working player in the league, if not second, if not third. I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't put him outside of that top 3, though. Every single time he's on the ice, he's doing something very similar to Quinn Hughes. He is an amazing Canuck. I would like to see him on any of the teams I cheer for. I mean, he's obviously going to stay in Vancouver. By the way, how hilarious is it that they were thinking about trading him a couple of years ago? Regardless. Yeah, he's been great. And then Jake DeBrusk, also I believe the leading goal scorer on this team. 43 games, 17 goals, 12 assists, 29 points, -2 differential. Yeah, Jake DeBrusk is very streaky in Boston. He hasn't really looked that streaky in Vancouver. You're never going to expect him to be a point per game or over a point per game, but he's looked very good. The goal scoring's been there. His effort's been there. He's good on the back check, which you can't really say for the guy in 5. I'll get to, and I have gotten to in a previous video between Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, who to trade. Like I said, that video was made 2 days ago. If you haven't watched it, please check it out. It's a great video. And then Elias Pettersson, 37 games, 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. Definitely not good enough. I love Elias Pettersson. I have a signed patch card. I have a patch auto of him. I love Elias Pettersson. He's probably my favorite player in the NHL, if not one of them, along with JT Miller, honestly, along with Connor Garland, along with Dakota Joshua, and then a handful of guys, Connor Zary on the Flames. The Flames I'm a little bit falling out of love with right now. I don't know why. But anyways, you need more out of Elias Pettersson. He has looked good in stretches, obviously, when Miller was out of the lineup. As soon as Miller gets back into the lineup, he goes back to the same mediocrity that we've seen so far this season. A lot of his game, I believe, is mental, and as soon as he gets over that mental aspect, he's going to be back to Elias Pettersson that we know. 90-plus point producer, great defensively, super high hockey IQ, great passing, great shot, great one-time, great bumper. He's amazing. Elias Pettersson is one of the biggest highs, has some of the biggest highs and some of the lowest lows out of anybody in the league, honestly. And that's what makes him interesting to talk about. I wouldn't say fun because it is sad sometimes seeing what's happening. And then JT Miller, honestly, sort of the same. So 33 games played, less games played than Pedersen. 8 goals, 21 assists, 29 points, -4. So exact same thing I said about Pedersen. You want to see from JT Miller. One thing I will give to Pedersen is that he is better defensively than JT Miller has been. JT Miller some games looks fantastic defensively. He's back checking hard. He's looking good on back check. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing. No back check. He's got no effort. He's cheating for offense. It's definitely a little weird. Brock Besser, 36 games, 15 goals, 12 assists, 27 points. As long as you're getting goal scoring from Besser, you're probably good. If he ends the year with 27 goals, it's probably a bit of a letdown. But, I honestly think that Besser is not a guy that carries his own line. He needs to be carried a little bit. He needs to be given the puck in correct situations for him to score. And when you're doing that, and when JT Miller is able to do that, he looks great. As we saw last year, a crazy goal total. And then, going into Kiefer Sherwood, who is probably the biggest bargain in the NHL this year. If not over the last 6 years, he's one of the biggest bargains. Sorry, my cat wants attention here. So 43 games, 13 goals, 8 assists, 21 points, and a +2 goal differential. Kiefer Sherwood has looked great. A lot of the things that I said about Connor Garland can be said about Kiefer Sherwood. Kiefer Sherwood has a little bit more of an edge to him. They're both good agitators. They're both great on the forecheck. They're both fast, both good defensively. Kiefer Sherwood has a little bit more of that grindery role that makes him a little bit more suitable to the bottom six. Would I want to see Kiefer Sherwood in a top six role on a Stanley Cup contending team? And I don't believe he's in the top six right now. Probably not. For this team right now, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the top six. So just saying that. So the line last year of Dakota Joshua obviously coming back recently from testicular cancer surgery. One of the craziest. You can't give the guy too much heck for coming back and not looking as good as he was last year. He took so much time off of playing the game, and he had one of the most intrusive surgeries I can think of personally. I don't take anything away from how he's played this year. As long as he's back and he's playing, I think we see what happens next year. Dakota Joshua, 24 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. I mean, give him some time. The guy went from hell and back to even get back on this team. And another guy I kind of wanted to mention is Max Sasson. He's looked really good. I really like Max Sasson's game. The good old anthem singer boy. 19 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. It's not all about the points of Max Sasson. I think he looks good on defense. I think he looks good not on defense. I think he looks good on back check. He wins faceoffs often enough for a bottom six player. He is fast. He's constantly making plays. He's good on breakouts. I really like Max Sasson's game. I think if the Canucks were to send him down to the AHL and not give him minutes, I think that would be a mistake. I think he is the perfect fourth line center for this team. If the Canucks don't give him time and happen to trade him or not re-sign him or whatever, I wouldn't be shocked if he looks great on another team on a fourth line role. So that's just my 2 cents. Another guy, Tyler Myers, I think he's getting too much time on ice right now. I don't think he should be playing in a top 4 role. I think they need another right shot defenseman. I'd like his game as a third pairing guy. I don't love it as a top 2 pairing player. That's all I really want to cover here other than goaltending. So Kevin Lankinen, who... honestly, without him, I don't see this team doing anything, even being in a playoff hunt, even at all. Artur Silov's starting the year did not look like he did in the playoffs, and he's young. He's going to figure it out. I'm not worried about Artur Silovs whatsoever. But Kevin Lankinen, he's played 30 games. He's got 16 wins, 8 losses, 6 overtime losses, a 2.63 goals against average, which is honestly remarkably good. Save percentage of .903. Yeah, he's looked good. is he a starting goalie? Yes, sometimes. Is he playing too much right now? Absolutely. Has he played too much this season? For sure. He's never had to be a starter, and having that workload just thrown on you all of a sudden, that's why we see these hit or miss games from Kevin Lankinen. He's just played a lot. He's played more than he ever has in his entire career. Even with that being said, he still looks pretty good. So, I'm a big Kevin Lankinen fan. Thatcher Demko has been back for 8 games, or he's played 8 games. 2 wins, 2 losses, 3 OT losses. He's going to find his game. I'm not worried about Thatcher Demko. The only thing I'm worried about for Thatcher Demko is if he can actually stay in the lineup. I was a goalie for quite a few years myself, had groin issues, had hip issues, all sorts of different types of issues. It is tough to be able to play and stay good during those periods when you have a nagging injury that hasn't been remedied. And it seems like they're actually taking time with Thatcher Demko after his back spasm issue to make sure that he's at 100% before he plays a starting role in this team. I'd like to see Thatcher Demko get back to 100%. Is it going to be this season? I have no idea. My bets are on probably not this season that he's going to be at 100%. And that also, I think, adds to their playoff chances a little bit. So, anyways, let's get into their playoff odds here. So, Vancouver currently has a 45.3% chance of making the playoffs. This is make playoffs. This is make second round, and then so on and so forth. Vancouver below 50% to make the playoffs. Not really what you want to see as a Canucks fan. It's better than it was 2 weeks ago. Still not fantastic. And then Calgary has a slightly higher percent chance of making the playoffs. 49.3% chance. A lot of that has to do with strength of schedule upcoming, I do believe. So, actually, yeah, they're basically tied on strength of schedule too. Wow, that's interesting. So far, the Flames have had the 30th easiest, or like the third easiest strength of schedule coming into the year with a 7.70 average opponent ranking, whereas the Canucks are 27th, so 17.52. So very even there, even. A little bit easier schedule for the Flames, possibly. It does make sense that they're so close in the standings looking at that, honestly, in my opinion. And then for the remainder of the year, the Flames are 9th with a 15.81, and the Canucks are 15.88 in strength of schedule. So that basically just means they're going to be playing the same strength of teams from here on out. So it is going to be a battle to the bitter end. Would I like to see the Flames make it over top of the Canucks? Sure. Would I like to see the Canucks make it over the Flames? Yes, I think I would like to see the Canucks make it over the Flames, in my personal opinion. I know that might sound crazy, but whatever. And then, so Elias Pettersson, first line center with Jake DeBrusk, Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Forgot to go over Lekkerimäki's stats here. I might go over those real quick. Lekkerimäki, 10 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. He's looked better than his point totals. He's a young player. He hasn't played in the NHL for very many games at all. He just needs to get his footing. He just needs to learn the NHL game a little bit more. It's far faster than the AHL game. Even just watching it on TV, you can tell the speed difference. The routes that you would normally take aren't there. The shot chances that you would take aren't there. The passing routes aren't there. Lekkerimäki this year may not be the year. Next year, I wouldn't be shocked if he looks downright amazing. And then second line here, JT Miller, Phil DiGiuseppe, and Brock Besser. When you have Phil DiGiuseppe on your second line is not a great sign, and I can't help but notice no Max Sasson. You know how I feel about that, not fondly. And then third line, Pius Suter, Denton Heinen, and Connor Garland. I love Connor Garland. I love Pius Suter. Denton Heinen's looked good for this team. There's been a few times that he's looked a little bit out of place, but I mean, who doesn't occasionally? And rounding out the forward group is Teddy Bluger, Niels Hoglander, and Kiefer Sherwood. So, Kiefer Sherwood, fourth line role. He is best suited in the bottom 6, I think, personally. Can he jump up and fill the role of Phil DiGiuseppe? Yes. And that is the great thing about having a guy like Kiefer Sherwood on your team, is if you have injuries to top 6 guys, you can fill those roles with guys like him and Connor Garland. Niels Hoglander, definitely a letdown this year. I personally, and I wasn't making videos as often last year, I was tooting the horn in my friend groups and people I talked to about hockey about how they should have traded Niels Hoglander last year. I feel like it was an opportunity missed. Anyways, I hope that Niels Hoglander turns it around. I don't mind him, but, you know, it's just not what you want. Top pairing for defense, Quinn Hughes, Filip Hronek. I said what I said about that. Derek Forbort, Tyler Myers, both guys that shouldn't be in the top four on any contending team, any playoff team, any team that has playoff aspirations should not have a second defense pairing of Derek Forbort and Tyler Myers. No offense to both those guys at all. It doesn't make much sense to me. This team needs defense. They added Zadorov last year because they knew they were weak on defense. They let him go, understandably so. He got paid a bag to go to Boston. I'm not saying they should have paid that much to keep him. They need to rework their defense. Carson Soucy, which I personally think should be on that second pairing. There may not be the chemistry there. I'm not Rick Tocchet. I'm going to let him figure out the lines and things. I would like to see Carson Soucy on the second pairing. He's not there, whatever. The gap between Carson Soucy and Derek Forbort is not massive. There's definitely a gap there, but it's not huge. And then rounding up the defense is Vinny Desharnais. Vinny Desharnais has been decent. Has he been as good as he was in Edmonton during the playoff run? No. Would I be shocked to see if this team does make the playoffs if Vinny Desharnais looks amazing in the playoffs? Not amazing, but good in the playoffs. No, I wouldn't be shocked. He's a good defenseman. I don't mind him. Is he going to be a world beater at any point? No. Is he going to be the greatest defensive defenseman you've ever seen? No. Is he decent at defending and he's a big guy and he won't take crap from anybody and willing to drop the gloves to protect his teammates? All those things, yes. So I don't mind him. And then first power play unit. So this is actually new, I believe, as of this game, maybe over the last couple games. Jonathan Lekkerimäki on that first power play unit. Very interested to see what happens there. Jake DeBrusk in the center role. So they have bumped JT Miller down from taking draws to Jake DeBrusk. I don't actually know what Jake DeBrusk's face-off percentage is, but I'm assuming it's decent enough and he's looked good enough in practice on the face-off dot to give him the nod for first power play. And then your usual candidates, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes. So, yeah. It seems pretty decent. The only hole I can see here is Jonathan Lekkerimäki, but he's looked good in the AHL in that exact role on that exact spot. So interested to see tonight what happens there. Kiefer Sherwood on the second power play unit, centering with Pius Suter, Connor Garland, JT Miller, as mentioned previously on that second power play, and then Filip Hronek is going to be your second power play guy when you have Quinn Hughes on the team. You give him all the minutes. You give him. If he wanted to play 45 minutes and he had IV bags constantly and an oxygen mask on the bench and getting massages and eating bananas because those help with cramps, apparently. Yeah, you let Quinn Hughes just play the entire game. Is that actually real life? No, it's not. And then PK, which has been okay this year. Pius Suter, Denton Heinen, Carson Soucy, Juleson, which I don't know why Juleson's on here. We're going to ignore that because Juleson's not even in the lineup. But anyways. Thatcher Demko, Kevin Lankinen, and then yeah. So very interested to see what happens tonight. Very interested to see what happens coming closer to the game 82 point in the season. These two teams, the Canucks and the Flames, have been very intertwined throughout the entire year. I may make a video on the Flames tomorrow just because of how intertwined these two teams are, and they're also just my two favorite teams in the entire league. So thank you guys very much for watching. Click like, click subscribe. Tell some people if you wanna that I make YouTube videos on YouTube. It'd be pretty cool if you did do that. Yeah, take care.